Who doesn't love new gear? Who does not want boxes and boxes of lenses and camera bodies for their birthday?
Absolutely.
I know I do. That's all that it takes to keep me happy. But we are here to tell you a little bit about what it is that is great to start with and the do's and the don'ts and all that good stuff. Camera gear is a very personal thing. Number one, you have to figure out what brand it is that you like and then go from there. And I will also say that having great gear alone is not going to produce amazing images. You actually do have to know how to use that gear. And having lower end gear is not going to prevent you from making beautiful images. But you have to know how to use it, but the better stuff does help.
I think that's what it comes down to. You've got to know how to use it. But yeah, you get what you pay for with gear, I think, because you've got a lot of different options out there. You've got the two main brands, which are Nikon and Canon. She's Nikon, I'm Canon, so both are amazing. It's not like one is actually better than the other. They're both amazing professional grade brands. And of course, these days, we're looking at more and more mirrorless brands coming up, like Fuji and Sony, and those are great options too. We don't have personal experience with them, so we're not going to speak to them, but absolutely they're up and coming, and they could be a great option depending on how you want to run your shoots and your business.
Yeah.
So
if you're looking into getting some new gear, what we both highly recommend is going to your local camera shop and actually physically picking up those camera bodies, trying those lenses. A lot of the camera shops that I've been to are fantastic about letting me try lenses before I buy them. And if you don't have a local camera shop, you can rent them. There are places like lensrentals.com, which I love.
There's also places like WPPI. Oh my gosh, conferences are just the mecca for these brands to all come together, show off their best pieces of equipment, and you get to go from one booth to the other and try everything they have to offer. So.
Yeah. Yep. So definitely touch it, feel it, figure out what it is that feels the best in your hand, and that you understand where the buttons are. I personally do not understand Canon buttons. It doesn't matter how often I look at a Canon camera, every time I'm like, how do I do this again? Yeah, it's horrible. But Nikon, I can pick up any Nikon. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this.
And I am bilingual, I'm proud to say, but I just prefer Canon. It makes more sense to me. So go with the piece of equipment that feels better in your hand and just makes more sense to you to manipulate, because you're gonna be using it in your hands every time you pick it up and you do a shoot, so it's got to feel good and natural to you.
Yeah.
As far as beyond camera bodies, I mean, you'll definitely probably start with something that's a little bit more entry level, but we encourage you to work up both in terms of camera bodies and camera lenses to more professional grade equipment when your budget allows. We don't recommend you go into debt and try and pay off things over time or rack up a bunch of debt. Really, it's like Taryn was saying earlier, subpar equipment, even if it is, pretty decent stuff, it's not going to stop you from creating great images. You just have to learn how it works and be able to control the kind of images that you want to create. So make the best of what you have. Don't be, one of those people that's always lusting after the next piece of gear, the next equipment that just came out. I guarantee probably most of what you have is great. I started my business with one lens. It was a 50mm 1.8 by Canon. Is that the best lens out there? No, absolutely not. But it was okay because I learned how to use it. And actually having a fixed lens, one lens that wouldn't zoom in and out, it was just one focal length, it really helped me push my creativity. It pushed the bounds of what I was willing to do, what I got comfortable doing, and I think it actually did me a lot of favors that first year that I was in business. So you kind of got to start wherever you're at, and be grateful for where you're at. And when you can build up over time, great, because higher quality pieces can do amazing things, but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah, and you are going to want to have an arsenal of lenses that are going to give you different looks. Mm-hmm. I have to keep reminding myself not to kind of duplicate my focal lengths and things like that, because of course I'm always looking at lenses going, oh, I would just love that one. Oh, I'm like, but why? I don't really need it because I've got it covered. Mm-hmm. Great one to start with is your 24-70. That's kind of your base lens. It's got a nice range of wide angle and a little bit of telephoto. That's not going to have the distortion of the 24. The next lens I would look at is the 70 to 200. That's actually my favorite lens. I love that lens so much. And with these lenses, buy them in the highest quality that you can, because it truly does make a difference.
And usually quality comes across in, excuse me, the aperture of what it's capable doing. For example, a 70 to 200 lens that can only stop down to f4 is not going to be as high quality as one that can stop down to f2.8. It not only has that lower aperture capability, but it's also typically a better constructed and faster and sharper lens overall. So that's where you're going to find the price difference for sure. And we recommend, just kind of going at your own pace, going with whatever you can afford, and springing for that high quality when you can. And certainly a phenomenal high quality lens is going to last a lot longer than a really great camera body, because the technology in camera bodies is constantly being updated. There's always going to be new camera bodies that come out, but lenses tend to be pretty classic, you know? And feel free, when also as we're talking about brands, to look at lens brands such as Sigma, such as Tamron. I have the Tamron 70 to 200 and I adore it. It's a phenomenal lens. I think it's better than the Canon lens, and there's tests out there that you can look up. So do your research. Make sure you're not buying off the gray market. You know, if some price seems too suspiciously low, a little too good to be true, it probably is. Don't go for it. It's going to bite you on the back end. But after you maybe have purchased a 70 to 200 and a 24 to 70, maybe it's time to look at a wide angle lens, such as a 16 to 35 or a 17 to 40, depending on the brand. Those are really great wide angle lenses so that you can capture the whole picture in front of you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And you were talking about your 51.8 before. I still have my 51.8 and I use it at every shoot. I love that lens. That's my little nifty 50. I love it. It's fantastic. It works great. I think it cost me maybe $130 when I bought it.
It's a great value.
Yeah. I mean, it's this cheap, compact little lens, and it does amazingly well. So
it really does.
Don't feel like you have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars right up front. Just start saving, and know that those lenses are in your future. I would caution against the lenses that go from like the 28 to 300. They're typically not that great. Their aperture is variable, so a lot of times it'll go from like f4 to f something.
Those variable aperture lenses are usually the kit lens. It comes with the kit and maybe the camera body if you're first buying it. And the reason we don't recommend it is because it is very basic. It's not a pro level lens. You're not going to be able to create quite the same results that you would with a higher quality lens.
The sharpness just typically isn't there with the glass that's in it. So get away from those lenses as quickly as you can, but don't go into debt. Use what you have, learn to use what you have, work with it, and you can do fantastic things with whatever gear you currently have. We promise. We promise.
And when you're ready to maybe move away from those zoom lenses and do more of the primes, those are really fun too. A prime or a fixed lens are the ones that do not zoom in and out. And there's the 50, which is a great focal length for that. There's the 85, there's the 135. So depending on, how zoomed in or out you want to go, you definitely have options available to you. And those can oftentimes give you much lower apertures than a zoom lens can afford you. So it just kind of depends on the look that you want to achieve and what's important to you in your photos and what you're trying to create. Because just because we love a certain lens, you may hate the 50. Oh my gosh, that may not be the lens for you, and that's okay. We're not here to tell you exactly which lenses to get, but like Taryn said, having that arsenal, having a variety is going to let you work in any environment. It's going to let you deal with maybe some unexpected situations that come up, and you're going to, I think, be thankful that you have options, that you have an array of different choices to choose from.
So just practice with what you have, and then start doing some research, look at things that you might want down the road, and go check it out, rent it, all of those great things.
And get a trusty, sturdy camera bag to carry it all around in. Some goodies that are also often found in our camera bags are squeakers and treats, because obviously being pet photographers, those tend to be great motivation for most dogs. But you're definitely going to want to have a nice quality camera bag, and not something that, you know, maybe you put in your purse, not something that just kind of does double duty with something else. You want a dedicated space to be able to keep your gear safe and, you know, protected from the elements and separate from all the other stuff that you have in your life.
Yeah, and just one kind of random thing that I just set up is I just put the Amazon tile in my camera bag.
Yes.
So if my camera bag is out and about, and if it ever goes missing, hopefully the thief will not find that Amazon tile and I will get it back quickly.
Yeah, keep your gear safe. If we're talking about investing all this money, you definitely want to take the precautions to keep it in safe places, have deterrence or protection like Taryn has, and some equipment insurance is always a good thing too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Make sure to update your business insurance. Make sure that you have a list, that you have written down your serial numbers. Make sure to just have that handy. Sometimes the insurance agency will actually want that list. Other times they say, well, as long as you have it handy, then it's fine. But keep those serial numbers safe.
Another place to report all the gear that you have is if you do become loyal to one brand. Let's say you have a lot of Canon gear, you can become a member of Canon Professional Services, and there's all kinds of perks that you get straight from Canon in terms of free lens rentals. Oh my gosh, if you're looking to try out that next lens, and maybe lens rentals, the price was a little bit too steep for what you were hoping to try it out for, you could contact Canon. I know Nikon has Nikon Professional Services. They're always at the conventions like WPPI, and so you can go and ask them questions. Usually have a nice little lounge you can chill out in. So it definitely has its perks to be one of a part of one of those associations. So,
but have fun with your gear, because it's great.
it is fun.
It's all the tools that we use to do our jobs, and gotta have a good time with it.
Happy shopping.